of the Prophet ﷺ in being humble towards others. Allah is telling us in the ayat, you have to be like a wali hamim to an enemy. We can't even be that way with each other. We start beating each other over the head with evidences and daleel when we disagree with each other. Come on. This is unacceptable, you know. So this is walija of the messenger being a walija. And then finally, other believers being a walija. If you find Allah to be intimately connected in your personal life, and the messenger to be intimately connected in your personal life, here's the part you need to pay attention to, then Allah will give you the best kinds of believers in your life. He will give you the gift of those kinds of friends that you can trust to the depth of your personal lives. And what a gift that is to have, because trust is one of those things that has gone in the ummah. Trust is, we're not an ummah of trust anymore. We cannot trust our neighbor. We can't trust people that we work with. We can't trust friends. We can only trust them to an extent. It's gone from our life. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is giving the secret to finding those kinds of friends. If you let Allah in and you let the Messenger in sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in your personal life like that, then the next step will be Allah will give you true believers like that. And we pray that Allah gives us those kinds of friends. Then, you know, and this is, by the way, one of those kinds of friendships that only Muslims can be. Remember I told you, can Muslims and non-Muslims be friends? But this is one of the special kinds of friendship that is reserved for believers. That level of friendship. And talking about that is the other one that is only for Muslims, bitana. Comes from batan. What does batan mean? Stomach. Bitana is actually a friend who keeps your secrets. So the other one was more involved in every matter. This one is, keeps your secrets. When you tell them something, hey, listen, something happened today, I'm telling you, don't tell anyone. You ever do that? Don't tell anyone. You know what happened? And you know what your friend does the second they're done. Actually, while they're still on the phone with you, they put you on speaker and they're texting the other one. Don't tell anyone, but you know what? That's not a bitana. You know, some of your friends literally, they have a light stomach. And we'll do the same. What does that mean? That means that this guy can't keep a secret. He can't keep it to himself. And sometimes you learn that the hard way. Sometimes with friends, you learn the hard way that if you shared something with them and you found out somebody else knows through somebody else knows through somebody else knows, and then it's coming to you, hey, I heard. You know, like I was a really close friend when we were having our first child. Really, really close friend. I told him, hey, don't tell anyone, but I'm really excited. I gotta tell someone. We're having a baby. He's like, oh my God, yeah, I promise, I won't tell anyone. The next day I go to Jumu'ah. Congratulations! But like I go, what just happened? How did that get out? And I'm not even going to go back to my friend, hey, you told my secret? No, it's just that I won't tell him other stuff anymore, right? Learn my lesson. That doesn't mean he's my enemy now, by the way. It's not like when I see him next time I go, I don't want to talk to you. It's not the case. But it's just that kind of relationship is not going to be there. Other aspects of relationship will still be there. Respect and, you know, mutual sharing and even enjoying each other's company, that'll still be there. So that's bitana. Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la tattakhidhu bitanatan min dunikum la ya'lunakum khabalan waddu ma anittum. Don't take secret keepers other than yourselves. Meaning for Muslims, especially, and this is actually in the context of the battle of Uhud also, in the ayat from Surah Al-Imran. And Uhud is a difficult military situation for the Muslims, right? And which other religious communities live in Medina? The Christians live in Medina and the Jews live in Medina. And some of them, we don't know who, but some of them, it's known, are cooperating with the mushrikun. That's the situation. So in that context, Allah said, look, don't tell your secrets to your Jewish and Christian friends, because you don't know who can spy in a state of war. You don't know who can spy on who. Right, so just watch it. Just be careful. Because a lot of them, لَا يَأْلُونَكُمْ خَبَالًا وَدُّ مَا عَنِتُّمْ. They're not going to leave any stone unturned, and they want the things that will harm you. And Allah is not talking about all of them, He's talking about the ones that have that propensity. They have that potential to harm you like that. So, just be on the careful side. Just be on the careful side in that context. Now, to me personally, Allahu Ta'ala A'lam, what I find the most convincing in these ayat is if you look at context first. In the context, what we're finding is a state of war and a tense situation where there's a lot of intelligence leaking can cause lives, right? So you might think you just casually talked about, yeah, we met the Prophet today, ﷺ, at this one's house. It's like not a big deal. But you know what? It might be a big deal for someone trying to assassinate the messenger. or trying to attack the Muslims or something like that, right? So it could be casual to you and a big deal to somebody else. And it may even be that the non-Muslim you share the secret with doesn't intend you harm, but through him somebody finds out who does intend you harm. So it can perpetuate like that, right? So keep your close secrets to the closest among you. That's the idea. لا يألونكم خبالا. And some of our ulama even talked about don't, even among Muslims, generally among Muslims, don't share all of your secrets. And since I'm on this subject, just a side advice to all of you, those of you that are married especially, don't talk about your marriage problems to just anybody. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't like email 10 shuyukh your marriage problems. It's wrong. It's not right of you to do that. Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahunna. You may be frustrated with your husband or your wife and you want to resolve the situation. The best thing to do is find someone personally that you can trust, a leader in the community, an imam, a scholar, somebody else, a counselor even, and talk to them privately about it and make sure they're going to keep it confidential and deal with it that way. Don't like Facebook your problems and don't post your problems publicly. It's not right to do that. And the only people who will be harmed by that is yourself. People will have no respect for you because these are very private things. And sometimes these things when you share with others, people will say, what kind of husband is this? He's talking about his wife like that. What kind of wife is this talking about her husband like that? And you think people are going to sympathize with you, but people are also going to say, how can you talk like this? And there's always the other side, right? There's always the other side. So I can understand that some of you are in very difficult family situations and friendship situations, and you need to talk to somebody, but don't make a public spectacle out of it, inshallah ta'ala. So that's bitana. Now the bad side, two bad kinds of friends I want to talk to you about, that are also mentioned in the Qur'an. The first of them is khadul. Khadul by definition, khadala in Arabic, is from close to the meaning of khada'a, deception. Khadul is a friend who only acts like your friend until the moment of truth, and then you see their true colors. So they were with you, they were just like you, and they were alongside you when times were convenient. And then when times became tough, all of a sudden they disappear on you. And you were relying on them to be there for you, but they're nowhere to be found. This kind of thing is called khadul. And this is a sirat al-mubalagha. It's extremely deceptive, an extremely disappointing friend who leaves you hanging at the worst possible time. And this is the description in the Qur'an of shaitan. وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِلْإِنسَانِ خَذُولًا. Shaitan has been a khadul to the human being. Why is Allah saying that? Because man, he's going to act like your friend in this life. He's going to make you get into things and he'll convince you it's for your own good and it's for your own entertainment. He will make you watch movies and watch filth. He will make you buy stuff. He will make you go places. He will make you say things. He will make you build the wrong kinds of friendship, all of it. And you'll think, man, life is good. I'm living it up. This is all khadal. Because when you get to Judgment Day, he's nowhere to be found. Where is he? I thought he's going to help me out here. I listen to him so much. And the Judgment Day comes and he goes, look, hey. I'm not an authority over you and you're not an authority over me. Let's just enjoy the barbecue together. That's what he's going to say on Judgment Day. So this is khadul. And this is something, you have to ask yourself, are you that kind of person? Are you the kind of friend who you're with your friends and when they need you, you just kind of conveniently send them the voicemail. Oh, you called? Oh, I didn't even know. Yeah, you knew. You knew, but you just, you're like khuduling it right now. That's what you're doing. Don't be that kind of friend. Don't be that kind of person. If you're going to be friends with someone, be a reliable person. Reliability is an important quality in friendship. And having reliability is one of the easiest ways to lose friends. Some people, you're lucky to have them as friends. You're really fortunate to have certain friends. You don't want to mess that up because of your irresponsibility. Because you weren't, doing your part, subhanAllah. Now the one that's tough to talk about. Khadan. Khadan is actually a friend that you are attracted to, boyfriend, girlfriend. That's khadan. A friend that you have the possibility of being attracted to. The thought might have crossed your mind. Now you cannot prove for somebody that the thought has crossed their mind. But we're just friends on Facebook. We just talk sometimes. He's just doing da'wah to me. I've heard all of it. I'm from the US. And it's not like it ain't happening here. I'm not blind. Okay? I'm really happy to be in a Muslim country, but I'm not blind. This stuff is going on. And you know what? Allah Azza wa Jal talks about this in the Qur'an directly. It's pretty cool that He does. Like you would think Qur'an only talks about really sacred things. And it doesn't talk about, like boyfriends and girlfriends, but it does. It does. When the ayat of marriage come up, Allah Azza wa Jal says, مُحْصَنَاتٍ غَيْرَ مُصَافِحَاتٍ وَلَا مُتَّخِذَاتِ أَخْدَانٍ. That when the women that should be qualified to get married, the kind of women men should try to marry are women that are muhsanat. You're bringing them into the protection of your family. You want to start a family with them. That's the first thing you look for in a girl when you want to get married. Is this the girl I want to have a family with? Would she be a good mother? Is she good to her own mother? Is she a good child herself? Does she have family qualities herself that she would be a good family? If you are rebelling against your parents and he's rebelling against his parents and you want to get married and all of that, well, you know what? It sounds like an Indian movie for a while, but eventually you know what's going to happen. You are going to have the most miserable life because you don't have the fundamental values of what it means to be in a family. What it means to be in a family. What it means to have loyalty to people that have raised you, that have taken care of you. You have this fluffy, stupid idea of what love means. First of all, stop watching Indian movies, for God's sake. Stop. Please. How many times can you watch people running around a tree? Enough. And it's gotten filthier and filthier and filthier. My God. I went to a restaurant not too long ago with my children in Seattle. Halal restaurant. We looked it up and it was a halal restaurant, so we went. And they're just, halal restaurant, for their entertainment, they got like Bollywood on. I literally had to turn my children around and myself turn around and, because it's so filthy, it's so disgusting. Like, how can that play in your homes? How can you have mothers and daughters and sisters and wives in your homes and have that in your home? That's disgusting. Stop it. It's not acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. You're destroying your families by doing this, What you allow to, these are friends you've made, these digital friends you've made, that you're watching all the time, subhanAllah, the harm they have. So, coming back to akhdan though, what does it mean? وَلَا مُتَّخِذَاتِ أَخْدَانٍ. First of all, look for a wife that is going to start a family with you, that will be in the protection of the fort of your home. And then, غَيْرَ مُصَافِحَاتٍ, that you're not just there to get your lust out of the way. You don't just think she's cute and that's it. I want to marry her, she's so beautiful. I can't stop thinking about her. You don't know how many of those emails I get. Oh my God, I have so much fun reading them too. Brother, there's this sister, I was giving her da'wah, I wanted to marry her. No, you weren't giving her da'wah to Islam, first of all. That's a different kind of da'wah you were doing, my friend. And let's be real. And then you want to marry her. Have you talked to your parents? No. They would kill me. Have you talked to her parents? No, astaghfirullah. I was like, then go to the store and buy yourself a baby bottle and suck on it. You're a baby, you can't talk to your parents, can't talk to her parents, then you're not a man. When you become a man, call me back. Until then, sit in a corner and cry. Come on. These relationships that you think are so awesome. And you know why and I'll fill you in a little. I'll fill you in, especially the teenagers in the audience. And the young people in the audience who kind of just recently shot an email and somebody emailed them back and a little Facebook thing happened and a little wink and a little hee there in the playground, even though it's a separate school, but in recess you saw each other like hee and hee. Like a little bit of that happened. Let me just fill you in a little. All of this is a product of low self-esteem. You think you're ugly. So if a guy thinks you're cute, you're like, really? I'm beautiful? You have low self-esteem. You think nobody's going to like you, nobody's going to want to marry you, and all of that stuff. And on the other hand, the guy, we don't have good friendships and good relationships, and we're looking for something. And most of the guys, I don't have to tell you what's going on in your head. You and I have ijma' on this issue. The things that go on in our head. There's no reason for me to explain all of that to you. But just because you have raging hormones, and you're like daydreaming about girls and things like that, it doesn't mean that you're in love. It just means that you haven't controlled your temptations yet. And you're ruining somebody's life. You're ruining an entire family. You realize what you're doing? And you call it love? You tell me if she was like 50 pounds fatter, you still be in love? Because she's the same person, same ruh inside her jasad, right? If she was a burn victim or something, if her hand burnt off, or her ear was missing, you still be in love? Or you find somebody else to love all of a sudden? And if you can't answer that question honestly, then come on, you're not in love, you're just hormonal. That's all you are, you know? This is what we've done to relationships that are supposed to be beautiful. Marriage is supposed to be a beautiful relationship. It's supposed to be a lifelong relationship. But because you're watching all of these models on TV and stupid women that are just throwing themselves at men and all this stuff, and you've developed this delusional concept of what it means to have love in your life. Delusional concept. Our deen came to free the world from this nonsense. To free it. Because we have a more mature understanding of what it means to have love in your life. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't marry someone you like, you should. You should be attracted to your future spouse. All of those things are fine. But there's a decency that you have to exhibit before that. You know? And if you're okay with talking to a girl like that, you should be okay with somebody talking to your sister. You're okay with that too? Not if you have any ounce of decency left inside you. If you do, then this is how we have to end these things. And no, if you've been in that kind of relationship, or you're in one of those relationships right now, nobody knows. Only Allah knows and you know. Don't raise your hand, please. Right? But I'm saying, you're like, after today's lecture, I have decided I no longer want to be your friend. Don't even write that, because even then you're looking for a response. You're kidding yourself. And then you're checking, did she write back? Yes, we should no longer be friends. And then you'll write back, you're right, we really shouldn't be friends anymore. And then she'll write back, yeah, never again. And then you're still doing it. Just stop, just cut it off. Just cut it off. It's not good for you. And guys, I've done a whole series on shame, so I won't repeat the whole thing because it took hours and hours and hours, but I will tell you this. It's okay to be attracted to a girl. Allah put that in you. You're not evil for finding a girl beautiful. It's not haram for you to feel that way. You have to control it though. You have to control yourself. Our deen teaches us self-control. And if you cannot exhibit self-control in one aspect of your life, you'll lose self-control in other aspects of your life. Same thing for you. Same thing for you. Control yourself. Control your giggle. Control your overly friendly demeanor in certain situations. Don't be oblivious to, don't say we're just friends, or he's like a brother to me. If he ain't your brother, he ain't your brother. That's it. That's it. Either he's your brother, you share a mom, or he's not. And that's the end of it. We're like friends, we're just friends. There's no such thing. Every time I talk about dumb Muslims, I get a list. We're just friends, like that. It's a thing. Okay, moving along. So, we talked about that a little bit, and I will talk to you about the next kind of friend is the qareen. That's a really cool kind of friend. I've talked about it extensively. I think there's a lecture of mine online on it. So I won't give you a long dars on qareen, but I do want to tell you one thing about qareen. Qareen is someone who is an equivalent to you. Actually, qaran in Arabic is used for a rope. The same rope holding two camels together is qaran. In Lisan al-Arab, Ibn Mandur argues, when two camels are standing together and they're tied by a rope, that rope is called a qaran. So a qareen is someone who's side by side. This one moves, this one's forced to move. They're always moving together. So the friend of yours that you're always hanging out with, you're always on the phone with them, you're always on their Facebook, they're always on your Facebook, they're always tweeting to you, you're tweeting to them, you're calling them, they're calling you, you're going out, you're like, hey, you want to come? They're going out, they call you, hey, you want to come? You're always with them. This is a qareen. And you have a lot in common too. Qareen is someone you have a lot in common with. You can't tie two camels together, one is really short, one is really tall. You gotta have some equivalence. You can't tie two camels together, one is really fast and one is really slow. You understand? So they have to have they're very similar to you. You think like one, you share a brain or something. People see you in a public gathering, they think, hey, are you guys twins? Are you guys brothers? Are you guys sisters? You're like, no, we're just friends. That relationship is a qareen. That's a qareen. Now you can have a good qareen and you can have a really bad qareen too. You can have a bad qareen too. The ayat in the Qur'an, about Jannah, The guy who made it to Jannah and said, Inni kana li qareen. I used to have a qareen. I used to have a friend in college. I used to have a friend in high school. We always hung out together. We did everything together, man. Everything. You know, I don't see him in Jannah. And then he finds out he's in Jahannam. And then he remembers how their friendship broke off. Because his friends started making fun of the akhirah, started partying, started living the life. And then the qareen said, look, I can be a sadiq to you. I can be a sadiq to you. I can be true to you. I can be concerned about you. I can even be a sahib to you. I can no longer be a qareen for you. I can't be with you in everything. You're going to the party, you're doing drugs, you're drinking alcohol, you're womanizing, you're watching filth on the internet, you're doing all this stuff. I can't be a part of that. But I still care about you. And I'm still going to try to stay in touch. And next time I go eat some pizza, I'll still invite you. Because I'm not giving up on you. But I can't be a qareen anymore. You see the nuances of friendship? Right? So he says, literally, I thank God I didn't stick with you. You know, you almost threw me off the cliff. In kitta la turdeen. You almost threw me off a cliff. If I stuck with you, you would have eventually convinced me to do the kinds of haram and evil things that you do. It would have been inevitable. And what we're learning therefore is the people of Jannah, listen to this carefully, the people of Jannah were almost people of hellfire. There are some people in Jannah that were almost in hellfire, and the only difference was they gave up certain friends in a certain way. They gave up certain kinds of company. Their sincerity remained, but they said this friendship, this always being together is not worth it with this one person. It's not working. This is not good. It's making me a worse person. And some people will have the maturity and the strength to cut those relations a little bit, not entirely like I keep saying, and some people won't have that strength. And that might be the difference between who's in Jannah and who's in Jahannam. That's pretty serious stuff. That's really serious stuff. So watch out who your constant friends are, who your best friends are, who your friends that you're always talking to are. What are they talking to you about? What are they like? You know, one of the things that we're forced to do in the United States is to give our children freedom, to make whatever choices they will. When they go to school, they'll make all kinds of friends. And the kind of friends I will approve of, and the kinds of friends I won't approve of. It's not up to me who their friends are. I can only try to guide them as only so much, and then they'll have to make their own choices. And it warms my heart when sometimes I hear from my daughter, we're just having a casual conversation, you know who your friends are, and she'll say, yeah, I used to be really good friends with this one. And I can't say the names because I know their names, and now it's going to be on records, I can't say them. I used to be friends, you know, with this one. I'll make up a name. Okay, Kulthum. Okay. I was friends with Kulthum, but you know, this year, I'm not friends with her. We don't talk too much. And I said, why not? Well, she got a little weird. Well, tell me, what's weird? She keeps talking about boys. She keeps doing that. I just find it weird. I was like, yeah, it is weird. I leave it at that. So I want her to be able to have that maturity and that confidence that she can talk to me. If I yell at her, I'll go, boys, hey. Let me call the principal right now. It's not going to work. You know, you can't clamp down on those things. You have to enable children and youth to be able to make mature choices themselves. You know, until we've given them that kind of maturity, then we're going to keep telling them this is haram, this is haram, this is haram. They're still going to keep doing it. Empowering people with choice. So this is a little bit about qareen. And now, towards the end, I just have a couple of things left to share with you. And the first of them is the two best kinds of friends mentioned in the Qur'an. From what I can study, the best kinds of friends you can have, and therefore the best kinds of friends you can be. One of them is Khalil, and the other is Rafiq, in the Quranic sense. These two terms are two of the most beautiful describing friendship in the Qur'an. So let's start with Khulla. Khulla is used in the Qur'an, for example, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا لَا بَيْعٌ فِيهِ, you know, وَلَا خُلَّةٌ وَلَا شَفَاعَةٌ لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسٌ عَنْ نَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَلَا بَيْعٌ فِيهِ وَلَا خُلَّةٌ وَلَا شَفَاعَةٌ. Fear a day, be cautious of a day where you're not going to be able to, nobody will benefit anybody else, nobody will pay off anybody else's debts. You will not have any sales that day, you will not have any friendship that day. That kind of friendship, khulla. Another word like a dharf that comes from khulla is khilal, when something goes through something. Linguists argue that khulla or a khalil is someone whose friendship penetrates deep into your heart. You have a deep-seated love for a friend that you care about and miss so much when you're not with them. That's a khalil. Like you're always thinking about them. And you wish you were back with them. That kind of friend. And that's again a rare kind of friendship, right? And this is the kind of friendship Allah Azza wa Jal had with Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. He was a Khalil to Ibrahim alayhi salam. And then also in the Qur'an, Allah Azza wa Jal says, الْأَخِلَّاءُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ. That friends, those kinds of really close friends, that had so much love for each other, Judgment Day comes and they are enemies to each other. They're enemies to each other, إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ, except, the only exception is al-muttaqeen. And those of you that are Nahwu students, you have al-akhillau marfu', it's akhillau with a dhamma, and إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ is mansoob. It's called istithna mufarragh. It's a very strong form of istithna in the Arabic language, exception, meaning the only possible exception to that is people who protected themselves. Meaning, protected themselves from making the wrong kinds of friends. Everybody else, you can think you're the best friends, man. This is my ultimate friend. This, you know how we say in America, this is my dog. You know, you don't probably say that here. It doesn't work. Like, what'd you call me? I'm no longer your friend. But you know, but that kind of friend, Judgment Day comes and they're no longer friends. Except people of taqwa. What does that mean? Make your friends based on how conscious of Allah they are. You know, how responsible they are to their deen, to their family, things like that. Last couple of things, inshallah ta'ala. Judgment Day comes around, and Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَيَوْمَ يَعُضُ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِ اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا. The Day of Judgment comes around, and the wrongdoer is like chewing on his hands. He's like biting his hands out of frustration and saying, if only I took up a path alongside the Messenger. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What does a path mean? It's a very beautiful illustration in the Arabic language of a lifestyle. If I only had a lifestyle that is alongside, parallel to the lifestyle of the Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And when you go on a path, when you go on a particular path, then you will find particular travelers with you on that path. Every road has different cars, right? You can't have every car on every road. So when you take one road, you only find certain cars on that road. When you're on one flight, you only find certain passengers on a certain flight. When you're on this path, there's only certain kinds of people that want that destination that you'll find. And those are the friends you'll end up making. This is a really powerful lesson in Qur'an, because the next ayah is about Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. I don't even know if there's another ayah in the Qur'an that has more hasra in it than this one. Ya waylata, and then waylata, not waylati. Waylata, this is done for exaggerated hasra, it's mubalagha and hasra. And then laytani, on top of that more hasra. And I keep saying the word hasra, it means regret. This ayah of the Qur'an, possibly the most regret anywhere in the Qur'an. The ayah filled with the most regret is about what? I wish I didn't take this guy as a friend. Lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. I wish I didn't take. And literally it says, I wish I didn't take so-and-so as a friend. And a khalil, I told you, is someone you have deep-seated love for. And if you have so much love for them, you would know their name, right? You would know their name. But Judgment Day comes and you have so much regret and so much hate, that hate fills your heart so much, you can't even remember their name. They're just a fulan to you. Lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. That's the regret this person has. The wisdom in these ayat, I can't possibly talk about all of the things in the ayat, but just one thing I want to highlight. When you play a certain sport, you will make friends that also play that sport. You're going to go to the playground, you're going to find other people playing that sport, you'll make friends with them. When you play a certain video game, you'll find other people playing the same video game, you'll make friends with them. You understand? We make friends based on proximity, especially around our interests. People that are interested in the same things that we are, we end up making closer and closer friends with, and the bond strengthens, right? You're on the same team every time, you cooperate with each other in and off the playground, and you just kind of develop a bond. That's why teammates are really close friends, right? Or cadets in military school are really close friends, because they do all the exercises together and they develop a bond together, right? Now this is the kind of friendship that is being described when the man says Ma'ar Rasul. That if I only took up a path alongside the Messenger, if you are really into something for the sake of Allah, you join an organization, you help a project that is trying to do something to help society, that's doing something to help people, that's doing something to teach people deen, some good project. It doesn't necessarily have to be a da'wah project. It could be something that's just, it's good for the Bahraini people, for example. Or it helps the youth, like, Care One, you're volunteering here. You know what's going to happen? You're going to start making friends that share the same concern. And as you get more involved in those activities, those are some of the closest friendships you have, because those friendships were formed under the shade of Allah. Like, you came together because of Allah. You came together because you want to be part of the legacy of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then these friendships are formed. Some of the best friends, like, when I teach in the United States at the DREAM program, the 9-month program, the Arabic program, one of the biggest advantages, more than the Arabic education, the biggest gifts the students leave with is each other. These are people that come from different states, sometimes even different countries, 30 brothers, 30 sisters, and they're spending 9 months together, almost living together. I mean, they see each other more than they see even their families, right? 5-6 hours a day they spend with each other. And by the end of it, every single graduation, there are grown men and women crying their face off, including myself. Because we're going to miss each other so much. Because such a bond is created, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to have friends that you formed because you share a mutual positive activity. You're part of something good, and you share an activity together. So that's some things about Khalil. And finally, the best. So I know it's been a long time, I know. You guys doing okay? You guys doing okay? Okay. So the last one is Rafiq. Well, first I want to describe what Rafiq means. Rafiq in Arabic, or Rifqa or Rafq in Arabic, also means comfort. And a mirfaqa is actually a pillow on your back. If your back is in pain, you put a small pillow to ease your pain. And also a cushion, those small cushions on a couch? They're also called mirfaq, because you lean on them and you put your pressure on them and they help you relax. A Rafiq is a friend that when you're stressed out, when you're in trouble, when you're having a hard time, going to them is like comfort. They're like a pillow to you can lean on anytime. And by the way, when people are reclining on a pillow, are they sitting formally or informally? Informally, they're relaxed. This is a friend, you don't have to act a certain way in front of them. You don't have to be super formal. You don't have to watch what you say, like super careful. Are they going to take this the wrong way? Are they going to get angry if I say this? You can chill. You can relax with that kind of friend. You can just be yourself. That's a Rafiq. Now, here's the beautiful part of this. If you just met me, right, and we're sitting in a guest room together, you're going to act a little formal. You're going to sit like very civilized and Assalamu alaikum, Brother Nouman. Like, I won't do that, but you will, chances are. And I get that. Sometimes when people get really, really formal around me because they get a little weird around me. Like, I have that effect on people apparently, right? So, can you imagine that one day we're going to be in Jannah by Allah's mercy, and we're sitting like next to Umar radiallahu anhu, and he's like twirling his mustache, like he used to do in dunya, sometimes you should say, right? He's just sitting there. Are you not going to be nervous? I would think I'd be really nervous sitting around Umar radiallahu anhu, like, Like, you know what happened to me recently? I was in an elevator in Kuala Lumpur. I was in an elevator with Sheikh Aid al-Qarni and I didn't even know. We're going 17 floors up the elevator. And I'm super nervous. This is a sheikh in the elevator. I gotta behave myself. I mean, you can't do too many crazy things in an elevator. I mean, yeah, but you still get nervous, you know? But the idea of, just being super formal around someone because you have a lot of respect for them. We do this in many cultures, we do this with our parents. Right? If your dad walks into the house, they're like, oh, Baba's here. Like you stop breathing properly and you just, that happens. But you know what? Allah Azza wa Jal describes, one of the most beautiful ayat, وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ. This is the part of the ayah that gets highlighted all the time, that those who obey Allah and the Messenger are going to be among those that Allah did special favor on. They will be counted among which category? They will be in the ranks and be able to have company with the prophets, those who confirm the truth in the prophets, ash-shuhada, those who died for the sake of Allah and bore witness to the truth, and good people, as-salihin. These are the 4 categories, at the bottom of which is the most number, as-salihin, good people, right? Good people. And then at the end of it all it says, وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. What an awesome group of friends these people are. And what kind of friends? Friends you're comfortable around. Can you imagine being comfortable around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and not being nervous? Can you imagine being comfortable around like the best of all the prophets? Like you're hanging out with Nuh alayhi salam and you're chilling on your pillow like it's all good. You know? Somehow, can you even, we can't imagine that. That's beyond our imagination. But Allah is giving us that gift in Jannah. But the beauty of this ayah is that's actually, it didn't restrict the conversation to Jannah. It didn't restrict it to Jannah. That we can have that rifq, and that rafqa also with each other, Muslims with each other in this world. That we find good people that we are comfortable around. That we can be ourselves around, that we don't have to be fake around and wear super brands around and say things that are supposedly there to impress them, and we don't have to impress them with our epic tweets and our ridiculous photos or whatever. We don't have to do that. We can be ourselves with them, and they're good people. They're salihin. That's a gift of Allah. The last thing I'm sharing with you this evening. Allah Azza wa Jal talked about this in Surah Al-Ankabut, one of my favorite surahs in the Qur'an, Surah Al-Ankabut, the 29th surah. The 29th surah is a late Makki surah. A lot of young Sahaba were there in that struggle along the Prophet ﷺ who lost their friends. Parents didn't want to talk to them anymore, friends didn't want to talk to them anymore. They were getting boycotted only because they were Muslim. You know what we're learning from that? And they're the best people. I mean, they're really the best people. And they're boycotted. You know what that means? When you decide to take a turn in your life towards Allah, chances are you will be boycotted by your friends. Chances are you will lose friends along the way. Chances are your people are not going to want to hang out with you anymore. You used to hang out with your friends and do all kinds of things with them. Now you say, no, I can't do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to do this. No, I'd rather not watch that. You had a friend, you guys used to talk about girls all the time, but then something came and you made istighfar, then he calls you again. Yo bro, guess what I just saw? Guess who I just talked to? You're like, I don't want to talk about that, bro, it's okay. Whoa, what happened? What happened? Well, you were okay with that last month? Yeah, that was last month. I'm not like that anymore. Come on, really? And they're trying to reel you back in, right? But then you just stop yourself. You stop yourself when you say, no, I can't do that anymore. So you know what's going to happen? They're going to say, you're no fun anymore. It's no fun hanging out with you anymore. And they'll cut you out. Again, you don't give up on them, but they will. They have no reason to not give up on you. They'll give up on you. And that they can make you really depressed. You can feel like, ever since I started getting more serious about Allah's deen, I started losing friends. And friends are a big part of life. It's a really valuable thing to have in life, right? What are we going to do without our friends? So what does Allah say as a consolation to these Sahaba who are losing friends? Who are even losing family in some cases. Their parents are giving up on them. Like Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala, right? What does Allah say to them? He says, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَنُدْخِلَنَّهُمْ فِي الصَّالِحِينَ. People who have iman, people who do good things, I will absolutely enter them, I will inject them, absolutely, no doubt about it, into the company of the righteous. The ayah before I told you, you will be, one of the gifts of Allah is that you will find friends that you are comfortable with that are righteous. But then you say to yourself, well, how am I going to get those friends? And this ayah Allah tells us, look, you lost friends, I see that. You're isolated, you've been boycotted, I see that. You continue to believe in me and do the right thing and you watch. I will put you in the middle of really good people. I will do that for you. لَنُدْخِلَنَّهُمْ فِي الصَّالِحِينَ يَعْنِي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. He will enter you into good people's company here and in the next life. What more can we ask for? And I can tell you, this is an absolute fact. It's an absolute fact. The organization I represent, for example, is not a one-man show. It's not just me. Actually, most of the things that get done in my organization, almost all of the things that get done in Bayyinah get done by someone other than myself. I'm actually the one who does the least amount of work at my organization. Everybody else does the work. But Allah has put people in my path that I couldn't possibly have found them through a job search or through like, I need some good volunteers and things like that. Allah put them in my path. And they're priceless people to me. They're the most valuable people to me, you know? And some of them are friends, some of them are employees, and even as employees they're friends, and they're the most valuable assets you can imagine. People that are in business can testify. People that are in business know the hardest thing you can find is people you can trust. A business partner you can trust, an employee you can trust, you know? It's the hardest thing to find. And Allah is saying, you just try to do the right thing, and I will give you that. I will give you the ultimate gift of great friends. And that's really what we want. We want the salihin to be our friends, the good people to be our friends, righteous people to be our friends, so that that comfort we have with them in this dunya doesn't disappear in the akhirah. You know, al-akhilla, yawma ba'dhum li ba'dhin adu. Allah already said that. Friends will be enemies on that day. People are going to run from each other on that day, but not these people. Illa al-muttaqeen. Except people of taqwa. So that's really my hope for myself and for all of you. Be on the lookout for good friends, but more than that, you be the good friend yourself. You be a source of good influence. Don't be a consumer, nobody's good friends with me, therefore I messed up. Well, why aren't you yourself a source of goodness? Why aren't you leading the way? Why aren't you the first to say, no, I'm not impressed by the hype. You know, I'm going to be who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. I don't have to fake it and try to be someone I'm not, you know? And especially to the girls, I'm telling you, I'm done with this talk, but the younger girls in the audience and the young sisters that I have, one of the crises that we have in the US, and I think it's all over the world, is self-esteem for Muslim women. Self-esteem for Muslim women. You know, you have non-Muslims that can dress however they want, and we have restrictions on how you can dress. And you feel like, well, I have to look ugly and they get to look so beautiful. And some girls feel that way. And why do I have to wear this thing? You know? Or why am I so short? And why am I so fat? Or why am I so skinny? Or why am I so this? Or why are my eyes so far apart? Why is my nose so big? Why are my teeth not aligned? Why? You're so overly conscious of yourself. Why is there this dot on my cheek over here? If you stretch it so much, you might see it. Oh, it's so ugly. And you're like looking at it for 35 minutes in the mirror. You know, you have to find comfort with yourself. You have to be comfortable with who you are. This is really important, you know? And don't wish for what somebody has. وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَا وَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. So beautiful. Don't wish for what other people have. I wish I was as tall as this one. I wish I was as wealthy as that one. I wish I had those clothes. I wish I looked like that. I wish. No, actually Allah made you awesome. That's it. It's good enough. And the parents that are in the audience, it is your absolute responsibility, especially to your daughters, to compliment them. It's not wrong of you to tell them they're beautiful. You should tell them they're beautiful. Because if they don't hear that from you, they're going to look to hear that from somebody else. Dummy. Do it yourself. You have to do that, you know? Our girls have low self-esteem because nobody validates them. Nobody tells, especially the fathers, especially, not the mothers. Mothers love anyway, you know? The fathers, you have to go out of your way to compliment your daughters. And stop having the attitude that nothing they do is good enough. Stop talking down to them. It's killing them. It's killing them. In our deen, we always talk about the rights of the parents, and they have rights, but they have responsibilities too, you know? This is why they'll end up in bad kinds of relationships if we don't do that, if we don't take care of this scenario. So these are just a few things I wanted to share with you about friendship. I pray that this discussion was of some benefit to all of you, inshallah ta'ala. I'm first of all really honored to be here, and tomorrow I'm giving you a heads up right now. Tomorrow's talk is going to be a lot different from today's. You know why? Because I'm not going to be sitting at a table. I can't see everyone, so I'm going to be walking around. I prefer doing that because it's scarier for you, because you never know if I'll pick on you and stuff. And it's better, it keeps you awake and afraid. You know, worried for your dignity. So, and I don't mind picking on sisters. I'll pick on you. I'll just, like, no, he would never. Yeah, I would. So, you know, but inshallah ta'ala tomorrow I wanted to especially talk to the young people, and I want the younger people in the front rows tomorrow. Because I want to make eye contact with you and talk to you about responsibility. And it's an important conversation. being adults, being responsible. That's the conversation inshallah ta'ala tomorrow. I hope I see all of you then. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.